Hey, good evening. I got the guys from tonight's a good night. We got the guys from Dream, uh, Central Jersey, with us tonight. Just to explain, because this is Let's Talks Two Sports channel. This is a different channel. This is a different theme. Some different things we're trying to do with sports, professionally, the collegiate level as well as the high school level. My co-host Dwayne is not here tonight, and he's our high school football savant. So I know that he really wanted to make this our first show to discuss the landscape of high school sports in New Jersey. And these two gentlemen are part of a group. It's called Dream, and this is the Central Jersey division. I just need you guys to explain exactly what it is.
Okay. So what we do is we provide recruiting services in a bunch of sports. Primarily, we deal with football. We also branch out to basketball, baseball, soccer, lacrosse, track and field. We have like thousands of people signed with us in various sports, pretty much all over the country. I, in Central Jersey, am one of the many branches of our company. The actual company is called Dream Sports Group. We encompass there's other parts to it called Recruit Nation. We have a thing called a Dream Initiative. We have the Dream All American Bowl, which I'll get into later on, and then we have some prep schools that may be opening soon, and we have some a lot of other exciting things that are going on in the works. The company is actually we talked with him before. His name is Shannon Riley. Couldn't be on tonight, but I'm going to speak a little bit for him. Basically laying out the basics of the company. We basically what we do is we give kids who don't have the greatest looks or live in places where the exposure isn't really good. We help them gain more exposure. We give them access to better opportunities to obtain the coveted college scholarships, which everybody wants, and we just try to put them in the best positions we can in order for them to succeed. So sometimes a kid may not have division one level talent, but he still has the talent to play in college. So we look at it and say, hey, your best option may be a Division two, but we can get you a lot of money to play there. You know what I'm saying? Or if it's Division three, we can give you, the same amount. We can help you get the same amount of money to get there, and we'll put you in a school, you know, that would basically, how do I say this? Basically, like best suit your ability and put you in the best chance for success.
Okay. So I know that it's a lot to discuss because I know you guys got a bunch of things coming up.
Mhm.
How does this work though? You like do you guys gotta like pick the kids, basically have the eye or usually the parents of the kids to come to you guys?
either or.
Yeah, go ahead, Creek. You can talk about that.
Well, so we either would reach out to them, just offer our services. Um, More and more, I know Anthony's getting, I'm getting, they'll ask us, you know what I mean, and then our parents will reach out. Sometimes we reach out to parents. So we're basically offering our service to whoever and educating on what it is that we do. One of the biggest things that's different about us than other recruiting services, it's more personal. Like we're gonna guide you through every step. We're gonna tell you, hey, I saw what you posted on social media. Take that down. We're gonna tell you what to post on social media. We're gonna tell you what should be in your huddle film, what shouldn't be in your huddle film. We're gonna tell you how to act when you talk to coaches. We're gonna tell you how to be a better student, how to be a better man, and then finally athlete. You know what I mean? Because we're student first, athlete second. You know what I mean? But so we're there for you every step of the way. It's a more personal experience with us as you go to one of these other services and just sign up and they give you some information here, do this, do that. We're going to do this for you, and you don't really know. It's a personal relationship that we have, and we really really we care. That's the biggest thing. We really care.
When
So
you
we take the time to talk to people. I mean, just now for the last 2 hours, I've been talking to, a parent, who is concerned because her son's gonna miss his whole junior year because of a knee injury. So she's like, "Well, what do we do? He's not gonna have any film from his junior year. He's just gonna come back for a senior year. Is it too late?" So it's just guiding them through every step and letting them know what their options are gonna be, and letting them understand, kind of like almost what Anthony said. As long as they can understand it's not D1 or bust, they can go to D2 or D3 and sometimes end up paying no money and playing. So you can go to D1, sit on the bench, or you want to go to D2, D3, get money, and actually play.
When you
And we'll tell them the truth. We'll say, hey, listen, you're not a D1 guy. Anthony's got a guy right now who is jet set on being D1, but doesn't have the,
let me ask you, when you speak about the explaining social media to them, do they understand, like, yo, your history, you got to basically scrub your page, not saying that they may or may not have posted anything that was controversial when they posted it or controversial now. You kind of like got to have foresight that something could be controversial 5 years down the line that we all accept in society now.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So the first thing I do when I meet with a parent or I meet with a kid that's potentially in it, I tell them we're in the business of brand building. I don't say that, it's recruiting coordination. I was like, we're brand builders. I was like, you are your own brand. And now with the NILs, you're definitely your own brand now. Because if you're a marquee athlete or even a regular athlete, depending on where you go and stuff like that, companies will hit you up and say, hey, we need you to post this, we need you to post that. But now you're learning when you get in bed with these companies and stuff like that, now there's things you can't do because you're an extension of their company now. So like there's things you can't say, there's beliefs you can't express, there's things you can't do as long as you want to keep getting that money and stuff like that. And even on a personal level, like, I always put out, I see it on Twitter all day. Coaches are like, you need to have this off your profile, you need to have this off your profile, you need to have this off your profile. We need 3 things. We need height, weight, grade point average. Well, actually, a couple of things: height, weight, grade point average, and then huddle film. That's all we want. That's all we want. And what school you go to, that's what we want. Any of that other stuff, it's irrelevant. And
So let me
create a separate Twitter.
so let me ask you. So basically, with some of the kids, and it's interesting because, like you said, Anthony, because of NIL, you basically have to tell these kids, like, look, just get rid of your Twitter account. Because, like I said, when you're dealing with the branding, and now you like, okay, for example, I'm just using a hypothetical situation, is you could be a advocate for Popeyes.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a big Popeyes eater and be like, you could have been a kid that blasted Kentucky Fried Chicken. Or Kentucky Fried Chicken might be the one that want to give you the money. So now you kind of like, that's an interesting thing, which, Anthony, I'm glad you segue into that. How do you guys feel about the NIL?
I feel that it was a long time coming.
Well, Anthony, I know personally why you feel that way. We all know NCAA football is one of your favorite games.
Yes.
We get it.
It is.
But speaking of that, like on a personal level, and then like what you guys are doing, like how you feel about it.
I feel strongly about it. I think that it should be a thing because it's gonna do 2 things. It's gonna expose the hypocrisy of the NCAA, and then I think it's just gonna put some money in these athletes' pockets, and you're gonna see actually the true power of the athlete. Because now you're looking at it right now, the NCAA was like, oh well, they're amateur and stuff like that, but you got to figure these guys are making so much money for these athletic programs, so why shouldn't they get a piece? Like, it's the same thing what happened with that kid Quinn Ewers, right? They said the number 1 recruit out of Texas that's going to Ohio State.
Oh, I didn't know you. Do you want to speak on that? I was going to ask you. Can you?
No, I can.
Okay.
But no, it's the number 1 recruit out of Ohio State. I said this: if the Texas High School Association does not let him accept that, he's gonna leave and go to college. He's gonna leave and go to college because for him, there's really no point. He already got in Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? They already accepted him. You know, he can enroll early. He can redshirt for the year he was supposed to be in high school, learn the offense, and then hit the ground running at the time he was supposed to be there. You know what I'm saying? And he's gonna get $1 million. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a parent, Q, if you're a parent, Creek, and I know me being a parent, if somebody comes up to you and says, I'm going to give your son, he's already going to college. We already know that. And I'm going to give him $1 million on top of that. What are you going to say? Stay in high school? you're gonna be I know you drinking right now because you're gonna be like, if you don't get up to Columbus as fast as you can, like,
you know, Anthony. To be honest with you, when I saw it, I thought it was strange, because he forgoed his last year of high school.
mm-hmm,
But from what I understand, he had enough credits to graduate.
mm-hmm.
And then, like 2 days after he said he was going to Ohio State made the announcement that you could use their logos and stuff to brand yourself, which I thought was, as we would say, a major chess move
Mm-hmm.
with the student athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Creek, how do you feel about that?
All right. So first, I'm gonna say the views expressed on this question in no way uh relate or represent Dream Sports Group, Dream Scouting Network, and CEO of the company. All right, so I have a totally separate different opinion on it. I don't like it at all. Personally, having been a college ball player, I'm gonna hate a little bit. I ain't getting none, so I don't want to either. But I also think it's a situation that's not fair, and now it's become a professional sport. What I love about college sports, and I'm going to say college football specifically, is the desire and heart that all these that the players play with. I think when they get an extra money and they can be enticed by other things, that things will get in the way. Now, you know why is so late to practice, or why didn't he come to practice? Because they were doing a commercial shoot for this, or they were doing an ad for that. Um, they couldn't make early a workout this day because so now the rest of the team is grinding, doing whatever, but he out so is out making money somewhere. It's just not fair, you know what I mean? And I always have love. I'm not. I was never a lineman, but I always had love for the big nasty. They always get forgotten about, right? So
Yeah.
the quarterbacks, the the specialty players, they're gonna be making money. They're gonna be getting all these love, and then the big nasties ain't gonna be getting that love,
So
and I think
so
it's called animosity.
Creek
Just my
is
opinion.
really going to turn the receivers into divas now, huh?
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you another question, Anthony, because I know you guys are such big sports fans, and it kind of makes you guys sing not tricky, but it's an interesting thing because with the NIL, we saw the last, and I know how Anthony feels about Ed O'Bannon. So Ed O'Bannon is his friend now. So, but with the
My God.
NIL and understanding what he did to go to Ohio State, we saw recently where in the last 10, 15 years, a lot of the basketball players, like and football players, purposely staying back.
well, yeah.
So do you think this is going to change that whole landscape?
I totally think so because, like, right now with the Dream, we actually have two guys signed to NILs. One is going to be a projected probably first round draft pick. His name is Gervin Dexter. He's out of the University of Florida. He's a defensive end. And then we have a starting running back from Troy University that signed with us. And we have more guys that are coming on too. So what I'm saying in terms of that is, just look at the NBA draft this year, right? Like about I think 4 or 5 of the top picks were from the G League. You know what I'm saying? Did not go to college. Now you see Amani Bates. He's like reclassifying to jump up early so he can skip his senior year and either go to the G League or college because it's like, okay, it just makes more sense. You're gonna go to the G League, make $100,000. You know what I'm saying? You have the insurance just in case you get hurt. You know what I'm saying? And you can get drafted that next year. So, like, what's the point? Like, what's the point? I think, if you're a marquee athlete, you're a 5-star athlete, bona fide 5-star athlete. It just doesn't make sense for you to go spend 3 or 4 years in college. You know what I'm saying? If you're spending 3 or 4 years in college, that means you need the development to stay in there. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why I think football is a little bit different is because you need your body to develop. It's
Oh yeah.
different in basketball. Basketball, skill wise, you know what I'm saying, you can come in and be skilled. But football, even if you have skill, you need bodily development because getting hit from grown men, I'm seeing Micah Parsons out there running around taking everybody's heads off and saying his first game. I'm just like, yeah, you're gonna need some body development to deal with that, man.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I'm sorry. The number one blue chip, running back, coming out of high school this year, ain't ready to take a hit from, say, Devin White or or or, or a Vander Esch or Jalen Smith or anybody like that. You know what I mean? They ain't ready
yeah.
for that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a whole
I
nother.
just I just always thought it was interesting. I know with the NIL, me and Dwayne talked about it the other day, and it's like, Dwayne kind of was like, listen, you got to get an attorney because I don't want to see. And I saw the one kid, the first young man from the HBCU, signed a deal with one of the local chicken chains down there. I just don't want. My thing is, I come from an era, when I was loving high school sports like that, big, the boosters and the runners. They were big on getting in guys' pockets. Basically they were bloodsuckers.
Mhm.
Um, Shout out to Sonny Vaccaro because he talks about it, and he always blames himself for the damage that was done. Now, me personally, from knowing somebody that was close with Sonny, he didn't do half of the stuff that some of the real bloodsuckers were doing. They were
Oh
like
yeah.
running around giving rent money, houses, all this stuff, and then when a projected player don't get highly drafted, now if you don't give me my money, I'm telling everything.
Mhm.
So that's
That's
one of the
what
things that NIL kind of protects them. But would you suggest a guy the family get an attorney?
I would. If you're doing
I,
any type of business transaction, absolutely.
I definitely would because this guy's the professional athletes get screwed over. So a college kid who don't know much, you got to get an attorney. You got to get somebody and it's hard because there's a lot of people that you can't trust out there. You got to find somebody you can trust. But again, my point is it all ruins it ruins the integrity of college sports for me. But I will say this. I was listening to an interview with Jalen Rose, and he's happy that all these that players can make money now. But he said there's nobody that should have made more money than him and the Fab Five, and I agree with him because they started the black shorts,
Well,
they
they got
started the black socks, they started the long
long
shorts.
short.
Like they were a whole mood, they were a whole trend. They
Yeah,
started so much, and there was no compensation for them
and
on it.
that always reminds me of like you got the kid, the receiver that goes into his the school shop. He
Mm.
sees his jersey everywhere now. Allegedly, he's supposed to get a percentage. Oh, they're telling you this is
And
the.
who tracking that?
That's what I want. That was my question, Creek. Was who's doing the oversight because he's at his home games. He's seeing 6,000, 7,000 students with his jersey on, but the school store is saying, "Oh, we only sold 200."
Well, that's
Mhm.
where the lawyer. Well, that's where the lawyer comes in. Because if you have a lawyer and stuff like that, you can go back. Especially if you have a lawyer versed in contract law, you can go back and say, okay, well, if I'm supposed to, because most oftentimes when they're doing an NIL with people, they're going to give you a percentage of like total jersey sales. So they'll be like, okay, like let me get the receipts. for all
It's
the
gonna get
jersey
messy.
sales
It's
this entire
gonna get
year.
messy.
This entire year. Let's look back through it. Look back through it. Whatever's been sold, I'm supposed to get 10, 13, 20%. This is what I got. Pay me the money.
Sounds like college sports going to be needing the unions real soon.
Well,
But look,
Well,
exactly,
no,
exactly.
they can't because they're independent contractors.
whew,
They're
Well,
gonna,
they
they're
are.
gonna
So that, and that's where it gets messy, right? So if you look at it like this, um, so you gotta get an attorney, right? Some people are gonna have some money and they can pay one, but then or what attorneys are gonna do is they're gonna offer you and they're gonna say, all right, you don't have to pay me anything now. Any money you make, I'm gonna take 30, 40, whatever percent that they want, and now they own you, and that's the ugly part of it, and that's where the attorneys can really take advantage, of people because now you don't have the money to pay them up front, so they're gonna say this is my percentage, and I think it gets ugly there, and
you know
and,
what's
God,
and
gonna
that's where they
you
can
know
take
what's gonna
advantage.
you know what's gonna happen instead of attorneys, especially if they're marquee athletes, they're just gonna have agents earlier. They're just gonna have agents early instead of having them right before the draft. They're gonna have them 2 to 3 years early. You
I
know,
yeah,
mean,
I
an
think
agent
it's
is an attorney.
I think it's interesting because when the justices, everybody always think they know what Supreme Court is going to rule. I can imagine when they first had the case and they were looking at it like, this is crazy. You guys is making all this money off these kids, and they're not even getting, a good meal. Like this is
well, you
this
got
is this is really crazy.
well look at Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers was like, we get all this gear, but we can barely eat. So if you think about it, right, the average person is gonna be like, well, you
He's
know,
not he
he's
wasn't he was speaking for the little guy at Michigan. He wasn't speaking for himself.
exactly, but he was exactly. But then he was like, but then the average person is gonna be like, man, there's no way. But then when you actually get to reality and you see these kids and stuff like that, and you see how they're living and stuff like that, you got to remember when I tell all the kids that are going to college, I'll be like, it's less fun when you get to the next level, when you get to the college level. It's less fun.
Facts,
It's a job when
facts,
you get there. You
and
can't
that's what I'm saying. Now
you
it's even
can't
more.
get a job. You can't get a job. You have practice. I broke down today. I said, listen, you're gonna have a 6 a.m. practice. You're probably gonna have a little film stuff after that. Then you're gonna go to class from like probably like 8 to like 3. Then you're gonna have an afternoon practice, and then you're gonna have film again with meetings, and then you're gonna have to go home and do homework. That's your day. You don't have time to have a you don't have time to have a job. That's why all those people back in there, the Sonny Vaccaros and stuff like that, and people like that was like, you know what? Let me just give this kid some money. You know what I'm saying? Because he definitely needs it. They definitely want it and stuff like that. Like, I'll be honest. When I used to hang out with Halim at St. John's, you see Ron Artest, Omar Cook, Willie Shaw, they all driving around in Escalades. Escalades, money, jewels, all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I know damn well none of them got a job. So,
Hey, all,
Those,
all I can
those are advances. Those are
all I can
advances.
say is if you're dealing with St. John, shout out to my man Andre Lopez, Felipe Lopez brother. He does a lot of stuff with St. John's. That's all I'm
listen,
gonna say. But
listen.
I'm gonna speak to that, Anthony and Creek. Ex- Tempering expectations. How was that like? We grew up where we had people that were trying to explain to us, listen, you're okay in sports, but think about how you could turn the sports into getting the degree. And then you have the parents that be like, my son is big enough to the league. Everybody thinks the league and D1. How was that dealing with that, with really speaking to the expectations?
Hey, that's a good question, and this is something I was going to ask you too, because you know how we deal with that
Mhm,
D1 or bust mentality.
mhm.
Well, now, what you think? Because
Okay,
I think that's a challenge that we're
okay,
gonna face. Because now everybody want to
okay,
do D1 because they're gonna think that's where they can make the money.
okay. So this is what I tell them. This is what I tell them. And I always say this: if you're a legit D1 athlete, you wouldn't be speaking to me right now.
Mm.
If you were a legit D1 athlete, you wouldn't be speaking to me right now. And I was like, I know everybody has their own path and stuff like that. I'm never going to dissuade a person from their dream and stuff like that. But you got to understand, like the D1 athletes, they're not calling services. They don't have to go to camps. They don't have to do certain things and stuff like that. And I'm just like, everybody's not D1. And then even when you get to D1 and stuff like that, you still got to fight to play. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Mhm.
tell kids all the time, I'm like, a scholarship is not a 4-year guaranteed scholarship. It's a 4-year, year-to-year renewable scholarship, which a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
So every year you have an exit interview with your coach. So if I'm the coach and you guys are playing with me and I say, okay, Q, you gotta come in and you gotta come in for your see me tomorrow for your exit interview for the year. They'll be like, you know what? You haven't been progressing the way I want you to progress and stuff like that. So I think you need to start looking for a transfer. When I say Creek, the same thing. We got some guys coming in, that look good, and stuff like that. We need to make room, so you need to leave. And a lot of people don't understand that.
That you got to earn your scholarship each year.
Every
Yep.
year you got to fight because every year your potential replacements are coming in, and it's a grind. And don't get it twisted, these Division II schools are just as picky. I had a parent tell me the other day that like Pace University was on his son and was on his son, and then they just faded off. I was like, yeah, these Division II schools are just as picky. And I'm trying to tell people a lot of these coaches, their job is tied to the recruiting class. So if they're getting paid, like you got coaches out here making $250,000 a year to be the special teams coach. You know what I'm saying? So if they make the wrong decision and they recruit somebody who's terrible and stuff like that, they're gonna get fired. And nobody wants to lose a job where you work, for a decent amount of time, less than normal people, and you're making, almost $1 million a year or
Yeah.
$1 million a year at certain jobs. You know what I'm saying? As not even as the head coach, but as a coordinator. Like if you go to a school like basically like a Auburn, a Alabama, or a Clemson or something like that, their assistants are clearing like 1.5, $2 million.
I
Yeah.
mean,
So
even the kid you guys got that's going to Troy. For most people that don't know, a lot of the Alabama kids, if they can't get to Alabama or Auburn, they'll go to Troy.
yeah,
Demarcus Ware went to Troy, and I'm a Cowboy fan, so
exactly,
I kind of knew that. Troy had Troy, and they pushed out OC Human.
Yep.
exactly.
Sure did.
One of the things I wanted to ask you guys. I know you guys got a lot of things coming up. I know Anthony was super excited about 8 months ago. He was going through his stuff and said, we might be able to go to AT&T Stadium. So
It's
it
official.
happened.
It's
It's
official.
official tissue. Explain to everybody what y'all doing there.
All right, so I'm really excited about this. So we're having our second annual Dream All American Bowl, and on January 14th through the 17th at AT&T Stadium. It's going to be a 3-day thing. We're going to have a national showcase where pretty much everybody can come, and then we're going to have 2 games. We're going to have an underclassmen game for the game's going to be from everybody from 2021 to 2025, but we're going to have an underclassmen game, and then we're gonna have a Rise of Stars game, which is the 2022 kids and stuff like that. So we're real excited about that. We're planning on having like we have like during the weekend, we're gonna have like media days. We actually got
So
somebody.
this is going to be actually in Arlington.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
In Arlington at
At
AT&T
at
Stadium
Jerry's house.
at Jerry's house. So like we're gonna we're just very excited about that. We're gonna have like media days. A guy from 24/7 Sports. Shout out to Ed O'Brien for 27 Sports. Look him up on Twitter. He's down with us right now. He's writing articles for us. We have kids from all over the country on our watch list. We're looking for more. Like right now, we have some. Look, I'm actually going through the offensive linemen. I'm looking for some offensive linemen. Shout out to Benji Solomon, man. Get your son on his watch list if you're listening.
He playing for Hillside, right?
Yeah. Say I see some big linemen on Hillside, so get on this watch list, man. But yeah, it's gonna be a big deal. Right now, we have about 40 kids signed up so far. Rosters are filling fast. Every day we're getting new kids. And this is gonna be a whole big to do, man. Like,
So Anthony, I'm gonna ask you: have you ever been to AT&T Stadium?
I haven't. I haven't. But I know it's gonna be I know it's gonna be a good thing. I'm gonna be on the actual field. So when I
Creek,
get
hey
down there, I'm gonna
Creek,
be taking some
Creek,
pictures.
Creek. Whatever you do, don't let him. If he see the team that plays at AT&T Stadium, the professional team, and he see the owner, Creek, don't let him say nothing crazy, please.
nah, no. I ain't gonna. I'm not gonna say anything, man, because it's just I'm just gonna be so into the
I'm
kids.
i I'm gonna ask you guys about that, and I know Creek, you have did some work with the league.
Hmm.
And me and Dwayne always speak about this. We're big defenders of the National Football League, to the point where we should probably be getting paid by these guys.
Yeah.
Speak to that. How the National Football League and the local teams, we from Jersey, Jets and Giants, how they really give back to the community. Because I don't think a lot of people know that, allowing you guys to be able to do this at the stadium, where basically he has basically no dark nights, no dark weekends. There's always something going on there. And to allow you guys to be there. Speak to that, how even last week I seen where the Giants was doing the welcome back thing or whatever.
Mhm.
Speak to that, how the NFL is always doing a lot of stuff in the community.
So they have an initiative to where the NFL as a whole plus every team has their own initiatives and community programs. They're really big on being community. So they used to have a NFL Play 60, uh, a bunch of different programs where they're trying to get not just the community but uh, kids involved, and it's something that the commissioner pushes all the way down. So everyone does have involvement, and they have community days where they have free events. um my personal business, which is an event company, we get brought in all the time for community events where they pay me to come in, bring whatever game it is or whatever, just for the community to come and have a good time, and then plus they do a lot of donating of money to different causes and to different events. And
Yeah, I always thought that was interesting. I know lately, with all the before when they had the protests and all the stuff was going on, and
mm,
you always get people always be like, this guy gave this much money, and you guys are well aware. You guys are big sport fans. We don't know professional athletes that don't give back. I mean,
yeah,
Well,
I think every professional athlete that I've ever seen, been around, had the opportunity to meet, they always give back. I mean, I
they
don't
always
know
well,
doing
why.
something. Yeah.
well. If you think about it, professional athletes get a bad rap because, like, since I've been coaching and since I've been dealing with this and stuff like that, like, I'll take for instance Jason Garrett, right? When he was coaching the Cowboys, right? Jason Garrett always had the Jason Garrett camp for all the
Shout out to
kids.
Jim Garrett, rest in peace. That was his
Yeah,
father. Yeah.
he always had the kids in Newark come out to, like, every summer, come out to Princeton, tour them around the camp. They get to meet the Marcus Ware, they get to meet Des Bryant, they got to meet Jason Witten. And for some of these kids, that was like the biggest deal of their life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even when I was working at Westside, they said the Giants used to send players down every year to come to, like, mentor the kids, come talk to the kids, come work out with them and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And even, like, I remember the year we were playing at the 7-on-7 up at the Dome, and it was Odell Beckham's rookie year. Odell Beckham comes down, talks with the kids, throws the ball around with them. It's just like, if it's not money, a lot of times it's time. And for some of these kids, what I'm saying, time is
Yeah,
just
bro.
as good as even better than money. Kid can come out. He could, one kid I know that was on my team. He was a big time Cowboys fan. He got a hat signed with from like Jason Witten and DeMarcus Ware and all of them and stuff like that. Jason Garrett. It was cool. Same thing with Phil Simms. Phil Simms has the classic every year. I got to meet him. I got to meet him and Joe Theismann.
All we had was the basketball game, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that yeah, right.
No, but honestly, we used to break our neck to go to the high school to watch them play basketball. Like that was the big thing.
But then,
I'll tell you this, right? So this is a good example. At that game, my brother, God, I can't believe he even played there, but Lawrence Taylor was at one of the games. That was my brother's favorite player ever, right? Love Lawrence Taylor. So after the game, we're just like kind of standing there. They're walking into the locker room. Lawrence Taylor takes his jersey off and puts it on my brother. That was the happiest day of his life. That little gesture, was actually it was at halftime, and he was like, "Don't go nowhere. I need that back." You know what I mean? But he let him wear it during halftime, and then he took it back, and then after the game, he found him and he signed it and gave it to him. Who knows where it is now? But that was his favorite player, and he wasn't expecting it. He just happened to do it. You know what I mean? And so just those little things, and that was a community event. You know what I mean? Those guys didn't make.
But you got to think about this too. If you think about it, Q and Creek, this too. We were kind of spoiled in high school with meeting people, because remember that year we got to get out of school, 97. We got to get out of school to meet Jim Brown and Jack Kemp. That year, remember? Do you remember that year?
The thing was, I think the thing with that, Anthony, goes all the way back to we were fortunate to have the principal we had, and living in North Jersey, and
rest in peace, Mr. Fortunato.
The basketball court, because of the basketball court, the success of the football team, the history of the football team, the principal. It was like when we were in school. I was in school a couple years ahead of you guys. It was like the perfect storm.
Yeah,
like everything was perfect. Even now, I know that sometimes I know a couple pro teams practice at the high school. They cut the football field off so nobody could get there. But it's like this is like where they practice at. Speaking of that, we can segue this before we go. Time. Anthony brought up the time, like giving time. So you guys work 24/7?
I do. Like, it's literally like, if I tell you my day is well, now I'm primarily focusing on the All-American game. Before that, I was working on getting our regional showcases, some of our regular showcases together. Me and Creek had one back in December, and it was we had 138 kids there, and the amount of legwork that we had to do to get that together is crazy. I'm talking about buying stuff, making sure everybody's coming. We had a hiccup with the field where we had to switch fields like the day before. So it's like we had a field. We had to, something happened with it. We had to find a new one within a day. Shout out to Holly McNeil for helping me get that together too, my man. I thank you very much. And then we had to move everybody from over there, make sure everybody gets over there, and then we had to have the showcase. And then just doing the work with the kids, like emailing schools. I tell kids, I'm your hype man. I'm emailing the schools that you're interested in. I'm finding new schools that you may be interested in. I'm calling, the prep schools or wherever you're going to make sure your grades are where they're supposed to be at. Keep making sure you're eligible to get in so you can play. And I'm talking to you to make sure you're doing what you're doing, and make sure you stay motivated. Because a lot of kids right now, especially when they go to prep schools, junior colleges, I'm telling them straight up, when you get there, it's a grind. Nobody's gonna tell you what to do. I remember when I was taking a kid up to Lackawanna, and Coach Duda up there, shout out to him, he was like, "Yo, I will cut you for missing breakfast." You know what I'm saying?
That's my area.
Yeah, if you miss breakfast, I'm gonna cut you. And the kids were like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "I'm serious."
Because he's serious because it ain't nothing to do with Scranton.
Exactly. that too. But he told me about them, and like a couple of Union guys. I went up there, so he knew about them. He was like, yeah, I knew what was going on with them, and then he was telling me straight up. He was like, yo, like, listen. Like, I put guys in the league. I help guys get to the league. He was like, you look out there, you got a Bryant McKinney jersey out there, you got a Kevin White jersey out there, you got a whole bunch of other jerseys out there.
The thing that's funny about him, and shout out to my man Money Kev. That's Kevin White's father. I know his father real well. And his brothers. He got two little brothers that played for the coach, and then went to West Virginia as well. I think that a lot of times with young kids, they don't understand that these coaches do be having, like you said, Anthony, connections, and you do got to put the work in. I remember the slogan back in the day was, "Oh, you're a D1 player from the neck down," because a lot of the players they didn't stay focused, and then you always saw guys that made it. And I know you guys remember when y'all played, you'd be like, "Yo, he ain't even that good," but because of certain things that where he went to school at and who was pushing him and who was behind him, he got an opportunity. So with that, you guys got any closing statements you want to close the show with?
I'm just telling everybody right now. I'm just like nominations for the Dream All American Bowl are actually still up. Go to Dream All American Bowl Game.com to nominate a player. You can nominate anything from quarterbacks to kickers. This is everywhere. It's a great opportunity. Saying for your kids, once in a lifetime opportunity. It's even better for the underclassmen because then you get on the national radar even earlier. There's going to be 40 plus colleges looking at the practices. There's going to be 40 plus colleges at the showcase that weekend as well. Plus, it'll be televised. So, like, it's just a really good opportunity to play and test your skills against people from all over the country. We got people from Washington State to Florida to Maine playing in the game. So we got pretty much all four corners of America, pretty much locked down. Hit that link on there. And, I'm saying, we just excited to have everybody, come in there. We're looking for offensive linemen. We always need some good offensive linemen. And, we're looking for another athlete, a couple more athletes to fill out the roster before we start shutting things down in September. Because then after that, we're going to go pretty much into break and see who's playing who and finalizing our roster. But just check that link out. Please hit it up. It costs you nothing to nominate a player. If you see somebody at practice, man, you don't even have to know them to nominate them. Just put them on out there.
Yep. Great. And for me, I just want to say, Dream Central New Jersey. Anthony can give you his link. Mine specifically, on Twitter is Coach Creek. You can find me on Twitter. And any players, family, any sport you need us, reach out to us. We just want to help. We want to help you, guide you, and reach your goals. And like I say, we're here for you. And as I always say, I work everyone.
That's right. Now I always say, bring your name, build your game. You know what I'm saying? Pretty straightforward, simple.
With that, we're going to close out the show. Thanks you guys for joining, man. Appreciate everything.
Hey, man, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for having us.